A five-pointed star appears in modern design, an inverted cross is seen in cultural commentary, and the geometric eye on currency seems to watch the world unfold. We often dismiss these icons as mere shapes, yet each is a headline from history, carrying stories of forgotten religions, esoteric knowledge, and political power plays spanning millennia. In the next few minutes, we will systematically break down the world's most compelling occult symbols, tracing their origins from ancient tombs and medieval grimoires to their modern interpretations, separating historical context from contemporary myth. This is the history hidden in plain sight. We begin with the sigil of Lucifer. This symbol, often misrepresented as the seal of Satan, first appeared in the 18th century text known as the Grimorium Verum, or the True Grimoire, a foundational book in Western demonology. Its complex geometry is not arbitrary. The central inverted triangle represents the element of water in alchemy, often associated with the subconscious or the hidden depths of knowledge. This triangle is bisected by an X, a symbol frequently used in older magical texts to denote the consolidation of power. At the base, a V shape completes the structure. When viewed together, the components form a chalice or a vessel, which Luciferian tradition interprets as the container for personal wisdom and enlightenment. Theologically, Lucifer, whose name means light-bringer, was the high-ranking angel who defied divine authority. For adherents of Luciferianism, the sigil represents the quest for knowledge, personal independence, and self-mastery, viewing his fall not as an act of evil, but as a sacrifice for human intellectual freedom. The sigil is employed in rituals for channeling energy, serving as a spiritual anchor in meditation, and is sometimes worn as an amulet for protection against external influence. Next is the sigil of Baphomet, the official emblem of the Church of Satan since its founding in 1966. This striking symbol features the head of a goat set within an inverted pentagram, surrounded by 5 Hebrew letters that spell out Leviathan, a primordial sea creature symbolizing chaos and deep cosmic forces. The dour orientation of the pentagram signifies the primacy of the physical world and material desires over purely spiritual concerns, which is central to the philosophy of modern Satanism. The image of Baphomet itself was popularized by the French occultist Eliphas Lévi in 1854. Lévi's depiction was intended to symbolize equilibrium and the union of opposites. It is simultaneously human and animal, male and female, light and dark. Historically, Baphomet is tied to the Knights Templar, who were accused during their trials in the 14th century of worshipping this figure as a pagan deity. Scholars largely regard this connection as a fabrication intended to justify the suppression of the powerful order. Older, more esoteric versions of the sigil sometimes incorporate the names Sammo, often seen as an adversary or accuser, and Lilith, Adam's legendary first wife who refused submission. Baphomet remains a potent symbol of rebellion against conventional morality and the acceptance of duality. The black sun, or Schwarzsonne, is a controversial sunwheel symbol that originated in Nazi Germany. It became prominent after being incorporated into a floor mosaic in the North Tower of Wewelsburg Castle, which was remodeled by SS Chief Heinrich Himmler. This symbol features 12 radial sig runes resembling the SS logo, arranged in a circular pattern. It was intended as a powerful esoteric emblem for the Aryan race believed to harness mystic energy and unite the concepts of the sun wheel, the swastika, and the victory rune. However, the symbol's history is complex. Similar sun wheel designs appear in Norse and Celtic cultures, and some scholars suggest the 12 spokes may derive from early medieval Merovingian decorative discs, possibly representing the passage of the sun through the 12 months of the year. Modern usage of the black sun is predominantly associated with neo-Nazism and white supremacist occultism, making its appearance a strong indicator of these ideologies, though context must always be applied when analyzing such ancient geometric forms. The cross of St. Peter, or the Petrine cross, is an inverted cross that carries a profound dual significance. In Christianity, the symbol represents humility. According to tradition, St. Peter the Apostle requested to be crucified upside down because he felt unworthy of dying in the exact same manner as Jesus Christ. Consequently, the inverted cross symbolizes the papacy, as the Pope is considered the successor to St. Peter. St. Philip the Apostle is also said to have died this way, reinforcing its Christian heritage. Conversely, in anti-Christian contexts, the inverted cross is deliberately used to mock or reject Christian doctrine. Eugene Ventris, a 19th-century French occult leader, was among the first to adopt the inverted cross to signify anti-Christian sentiments, claiming it heralded the arrival of the Antichrist. This association has been amplified in modern countercultural movements, where the inverted cross is often used as a symbol of rebellion or opposition to established religious authority. We turn to the sigil of Lilith, a figure deeply rooted in Jewish and ancient Mesopotamian mythology. In ancient texts, Lilith or Lilitu is portrayed as a night demon or spirit. Later medieval legends recast her as Adam's first wife who was banished from the Garden of Eden for refusing to submit to him, embodying defiance against patriarchal norms. The exact origin of the modern sigil is somewhat obscured, though it is often believed to be a stylized rendition of her name using the Theban alphabet, popular among various occult and Wiccan groups in the 20th century. The sigil, often depicting balanced crescent moons, represents Lilith's qualities of independence, rebellion, and empowerment. In modern practices, particularly within left-hand path occultism, the sigil is invoked to channel her powerful and protective energies, symbolizing the darker, transformative, and liberated aspects of the feminine principle. She is viewed today as a symbol of self-assertion and liberation. The Satan's Cross, also known as the Leviathan Cross, is an alchemical symbol for black sulfur. The design features a double cross structure situated above an infinity symbol, or lemniscate. Historically, black sulfur was associated with impurity and chaos, and due to sulfur's link to fire and brimstone, it became associated with the devil in Christian iconography. Although the symbol's use predates modern Satanism, sometimes linked to the Knights Templar as a seal, it was popularized by Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. LaVey incorporated the symbol into the Satanic Bible, using it to mock the Christian cross and emphasize the satanic belief in human self-determination. The infinity sign at the base represents the eternal, boundless nature of the universe and the idea that humans are the center of their own truth and balance rather than relying on external divine guidance. The double cross itself is sometimes interpreted in esoteric circles as a symbol of protection and balance between the spiritual and physical realms. The heptagram, or septagram, is a 7-pointed star drawn with a continuous, unbroken line. Its meanings are remarkably diverse across global traditions. In Catholicism, the star is sometimes referred to as the Virgin Star and is used as a protective charm. In Kabbalist Judaism, the number 7 holds immense mystical significance, connecting to the Sphirot, or divine emanations. For Muslims, the heptagram can represent the 7 verses of the Fatiha, the opening surah of the Quran. Within occult thelema, the star symbolizes the goddess Babylon, often referred to as the Great Mother. Neo-pagans, particularly in traditions like Blue Star Wicca, know it as the Elven Star, representing the 7 directions or the 7 elements. Furthermore, the number 7 is sacred to the Cherokee people of southern Appalachia, where the star represents the 7 clans. The heptagram's universal presence highlights its ancient function as a mnemonic device mapping celestial bodies, musical notes, and complex spiritual concepts. The Icelandic staves, or galdrastafr, are mystical runes and sigils originating from 17th-century Icelandic grimoires, most famously the Galdrabok. These unique characters were not designed for worship but as tools for practical folk magic. Each stave was meticulously drawn to serve a specific utilitarian purpose, increasing luck in fishing or trade, breaking locks, enhancing fertility, ensuring restful sleep, or providing protection in combat. The instructions often required the stave to be carved onto specific materials like whalebone or wood, and placed in precise locations. These runic characters are deeply embedded in Norse mythology and Icelandic history, demonstrating a system of belief where abstract geometry could directly influence the material world without necessarily invoking the intervention of gods. They represent a pragmatic and localized form of esoteric practice. The Ouroboros is an ancient symbol depicting a serpent or dragon consuming its own tail, forming an eternal loop. One of its earliest appearances dates back to the 13th century BC, found on a golden shrine in the tomb of Tutankhamun in Egypt. In this context, it symbolized the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, representing the ultimate unity and continuous renewal of existence. Adopted by Greek alchemists, the Ouroboros came to symbolize the concept of prima materia, the undifferentiated substance from which all matter is derived, emphasizing the cyclical nature of transformative processes. In Norse mythology, it is known as Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, which encircles the entire world and whose release signals the beginning of Ragnarok. Philosophically, the Ouroboros embodies the harmony of opposites and the idea that the end is inseparable from the beginning, a concept later utilized in Jungian psychology to represent the process of individuation. The distinction between the pentacle and the pentagram is vital in esoteric study. The pentagram is simply a five-pointed star. When this star is enclosed within a circle, it becomes a pentacle. As an ancient symbol, the pentagram has been used by Greek mathematicians to illustrate the golden ratio and by medieval Christians to represent the 5 wounds of Christ and the 5 senses. In Wicca and many positive occult traditions, the pentacle symbolizes the balance of the 5 elements, earth, fire, water, air, and spirit, and is used as a powerful talisman for protection and positive energy. Conversely, an inverted pentagram, 1 point down, signifies the triumph of matter over spirit and is associated with black magic and Satanism. The inverted pentagram, particularly when incorporating the goat head to form the sigil of Baphomet, denotes a rejection of traditional spiritual values and an embrace of material reality, often used in rituals intended to summon spirits or empower the self. The Seal of Solomon is a powerful signet ring attributed to King Solomon in medieval Islamic and Jewish traditions. It is typically depicted as a hexagram, a 6-pointed star, or sometimes a pentagram, enclosed within a circle. According to legend, Solomon used this seal to command jinn, spirits, and demons, granting him unmatched wisdom and control over the natural and supernatural worlds. It served as a potent protective talisman in Jewish tradition and was instrumental in ceremonial magic to bind supernatural beings. Today, the 6-pointed version is recognized as a precursor to the modern Star of David. In both religious and occult practices, the Seal of Solomon represents divine protection, wisdom, and the interconnectedness of the spiritual and earthly realms, functioning as a universal symbol of authority and spiritual defense. The Eye of Providence, also known as the all-seeing eye, is depicted as an eye within a triangle, often surrounded by a burst of light or a halo. Its earliest known use in this configuration was in Renaissance religious art, where it served as a Christian symbol representing the omnipresence, vigilance, and benevolence of God. The triangle symbolizes the Holy Trinity. In 1797, the symbol was adopted by Freemasonry, where the eye represents the great architect of the universe watching over humanity and the progression of human knowledge. Its most famous modern appearance is on the reverse side of the Great Seal of the United States, and consequently the $1 bill. This placement has cemented its association with various conspiracy theories, particularly those involving the Illuminati, who are falsely believed to use the eye as a symbol of secretive global control. Regardless of interpretation, it remains a powerful symbol of ultimate surveillance and supreme awareness. The Sigillum Dei Emeth, or the Seal of God's Truth, is an incredibly complex magical diagram, primarily associated with the 16th century English occultist and astrologer John Dee. Dee, along with his associate Edward Kelly, claimed to have received the instructions for creating this sigil directly from angels during scrying sessions. The diagram consists of nested geometric shapes, 2 circles, a pentagram, 2 heptagons, and numerous inscriptions detailing the names of God and 7 specific angels. According to the texts Dee documented, the sigil was intended to grant the user the ability to communicate directly with spirits, angels, and archangels, mastery over the elements, and a profound vision of divine kindness. Due to its intricate construction and the detailed, specific instructions required for its activation, the Sigillum Dei Emeth represents a peak of Renaissance ceremonial magic and esoteric intellectualism. The unicursal hexagram is a 6-pointed star unique because it can be drawn in a single continuous unbroken line. This feature itself is highly symbolic, representing the seamless union of 2 halves or opposing forces. Aleister Crowley, the founder of the religion of Thelema, designed a variation of this symbol featuring a 5-petaled flower at its center. In Thelemic philosophy, the continuous line represents the unwavering will, while the hexagram itself symbolizes the planetary forces and the macrocosm. The central rose or flower represents the pentagram and the microcosm, the individual soul unfolding, as well as the 5 elements. The symbol is often equated with the Rosicrucian rose cross and the Egyptian ankh, signifying the completion of the great work, the mystical union between the individual and the universe. The ankh, often called the key of life or the cross of life, is one of the most recognizable symbols from ancient Egypt. It represents eternal life, resurrection, and immortality. Structurally, the loop at the top symbolizes the sun, the horizontal bar represents the horizon, and the vertical bar signifies the path of the sun rising above the horizon. The ankh was frequently depicted in the hands of Egyptian deities such as Ra, the sun god, and Anubis, the god of the dead, signifying their power over life and death. It was used in funerary rites and placed in tombs to protect and guide the soul in the afterlife. Some scholars suggest it may have served as the belt buckle of the goddess Isis. Later, the ankh was adapted by Coptic Christians, becoming the crux ansata, or handled cross, symbolizing salvation and eternal life through Christ. The Eye of Horus is an ancient Egyptian symbol that combines human and falcon features, often stylized with teardrop markings. Its origin lies in the myth of the god King Horus, whose eye was violently removed by his jealous uncle Set during a conflict. The eye was later restored and healed by the god Thoth, making it a powerful symbol of healing, protection, and restoration. Horus then offered the healed eye to his deceased father Osiris, sustaining him in the afterlife. Beyond mythology, the Eye of Horus was used extensively as a protective amulet for the living and the dead. It also held mathematical significance, as ancient Egyptians used its individual parts to represent the first 6 fractions, linking the symbol to knowledge and systemic order. Today, it remains a popular symbol in Kemetism and is widely recognized as an icon of protection against malevolent forces. Finally, the Rose Cross is a central emblem for various esoteric traditions, including the Rosicrucian Order, the Golden Dawn, and Thelema. Its origins are linked to the mythical figure Christian Rosenkreuz, the founder of the Rosicrucian movement. The symbol typically features a cross overlaid with a red rose at its center. The cross itself is often interpreted as representing the human body and suffering, while the rose symbolizes the unfolding consciousness, the soul, and the process of spiritual purification. The rose cross used by the Golden Dawn is highly complex, featuring pentagrams on each arm and incorporating various planetary, zodiacal, and alchemical principles, signifying a comprehensive map of the cosmos and the inner self. In Thelema, the rose cross specifically signifies the great work, the achievement of mystical union and spiritual enlightenment. We began this journey observing simple shapes that populate our modern world. We conclude having decoded a library of history, theology, and philosophy compressed into geometry. The difference between a symbol of hate and a symbol of harvest, between a spiritual talisman and a piece of controversial art, is entirely dependent on context and historical lineage. Understanding these origins allows us to engage with cultural history rather than reacting solely to contemporary bias. Arm yourself with this knowledge. The next time an esoteric symbol appears, you will be able to read the footnotes of history. If this breakdown provided valuable insight into the world of occult symbolism, please support our mission to make complex knowledge accessible by subscribing and liking this video.